This video, I'll show you everything you need to know about the Venom drum mag. When you first get the drum mag, the tower will be attached. We will need to remove the tower in order to set the detent. Every bolt on this drum mag is metric. So we'll start by removing the 4 bolts that hold the tower in, or the 5 bolts if you have the E15 tower. I left one in just to make this video smoother. When you take the bolts out, you need to be careful of loose parts. There's an activator back here that is only held in by the tower itself. This piece here. Without that, it will not function properly. Now I have a stripped down EMF to demonstrate how to set the detent on the tower. The detent allows you to use any build with any mag well. So say you had an EMF lower on something and the chamber was way up here, it wouldn't matter. The way you set the detent keeps the height the same. The detent is inside of the tower and it is adjustable with an Allen key into this bolt here. Counterclockwise, we'll push it up. Clockwise, we'll pull it down. I will reset it for this demonstration. I have moved the detent all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to start by putting rounds in through the bottom. Once it's in there, you want to add an extra round to fill up the space that you just lost. And then simply wind down the detent until it touches that last round. The easiest way to see if you're set or not is by shaking it back and forth. If there's still some play, you should still go more. See, now we have no play. That's too far. Just back it off a little bit. You only need to back it off enough to where it's just resting on the detent. And you can go ahead and look down your chamber as well and see if everything lines up. When you look down your chamber, you should see the round just fall slightly, and then you can push it right back up. Just a little, a 64th of an inch. Just enough to where it won't chip the fin, but it's also just resting on the detent. Like I said, there should be a little bit of play. If it's snug, you run the risk of it only catching halfway on a round. But if the round goes past it and sets perfectly on the lip, then everything's fine. If a round halfway stops on the detent, it may not work. The whole system works on if a round goes past the detent or not. To explain that process a little more in depth, I have a split EMF with a mag tower inside. This is the mag tower, this is the EMF body. This is the bolt, the detent, and your first strike rounds. So when you load in your rounds, you want them to go all the way to the top and touch the top of the chamber. And then you want to run your detent down, as I've explained, but you couldn't really see it before. You run it down until it almost touches the rounds. So there's a little bit of play here. That little bit of play won't matter. The round will still fire like that, but it's just a very, very small amount. here's what happens and why we need the detent. So this is your last round in the drum. This is the next step in the chamber. The drum is pushing on this round here. It'll go up into the chamber like so. But since the drum is a helical and it has an internal drive drum, this round will want to fall back down. But the detent will stop these rounds from going down too far. That is why we set it to barely touch. Now, if you set it to be in between there, say here, that round may not sit there every time. It may not repeat. But if you set it to where it goes up and falls back down onto the detent, it'll repeat itself. But if you set it in the middle, it may sit here, it may sit here, it may sit here, and that'll be a guaranteed chop every time. But if you set it the way I'm showing you to set it, you'll have no problems at all. And every bore of every marker is a little bit oversized, so that's why you push it up to the very top and then give it just a little bit of slack, and it'll have plenty of room to push the first strike out. The bolt with a taper on it will guide it out, and usually there is a pretty hefty radius on this part here that also allows any rounds to skate on by. These work for both round ball and first strike, but I recommend if you're using round ball, you should set it that day to that paint that you're using, because round ball changes sizes. And it can be close, but not exactly interchangeable to first strike. So if you're switching from first strikes to round ball, you should probably give the detent a second look. Now I will show you how to disassemble and or clean the drum. It's rather simple, but can be tricky if you're just taking it apart and don't know what you're doing. Obviously, this piece can come out as soon as you take the tower off, and then this is just a cover here. This is your ratchet mechanism. If you just want to put this piece back in and go play, you can. Goes in this direction here, just like that. So it pushes on the ratchet. The first step in disassembling is turning over to the front where there are 2 screws. Removing these screws, the spring shouldn't fly out, but just be careful because the spring is metal. And here's your spring. Easiest way to take it out is to take an Allen wrench over here on the side. Make sure you hold on to it because it will try to unwind. Just slightly push up on it. Bring the spring out. Keep a hold of it. Just let it naturally unwind. That's the spring coming out. You want to turn it over now to this shoulder bolt in this bearing. Back it out. This will pull out the drive shaft. Drive shaft stays separate. You don't have to take the spring off that ever. You have 4 shielded bearings here. These help keep everything buttery smooth. And your internal drum. That's all there is to it. If you need replacement parts, shoot us an email and we can send you it. You'll be able to clean any part of the drum mag like this. And that's really all there is to it. Nothing else needs done. Moving on to assembly. First, drop your inner drum back in. You can only go in one way. Now, winding the spring back up can be kind of difficult. What I like to do is get a hold of it like this and just pull this outside ring. Pull it again. And then I'll wrap it around pinching it the whole time so it doesn't unravel. Give her another pull. This is the part that is tricky. Take your drum mag. You can go ahead and insert the shaft. And then take this side here, put it in the groove, stick the spring down in, and there it is. It looks scarier than it actually is. Now you can flip it over and put the shaft bolt back in. And you don't want to crank down on it because it is set. There's a distance, there's a depth for this bolt to go in. It can be tightened, but there should always be a gap between the head of this bolt and the bearing. And then make sure your holes line up on top. Put your 2 bolts back in. These bolts can be as tight as you want. Again, it's all 3D printed heat set inserts, so you can pull them out if you over tighten stuff. Go ahead and snug this up one more time. And then you can test it. I wouldn't recommend ever releasing the ratchet and not holding on to the front if it's empty, but it can take it. So if you do it, it may make the spring a little crunchy, but as soon as you turn it back, it'll reset itself. So to release it, you can just take an Allen wrench, this part here, push down there, or you can use your finger. And then the activator here can only go in one way. It can go in the other way, but it won't work. And then your cover. Just keep all the dirt out of it. Then you would flip it this way and put your tower back on. On the EMF tower, you want to make sure it's always to the front. That's what this relief is for here. That's it. That's all there is to it. Put your bolts back in and we're ready to go. And wind it up, make sure everything works. This is your release here. Looks fine. There is a detent up top for the rounds as well, just so they don't fall out and it's not activated, but they will not hold the round back. It's just, if you made a spring that strong, it just wouldn't be smooth. But it does keep the rounds from falling out. Pretty simple design, pretty robust. If you guys need any help, just shoot us an email or message us on our Facebook. Thanks.